Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're breaking down a truly, puzzling performance. Portugal's victory over Croatia. I mean, sure, it was a win on paper, but a deeply flawed one, right? We're talking structural cracks visible from literally the opening whistle. Before we dive into exactly how they pulled this off while looking so incredibly vulnerable, please like, subscribe, and share Football Flash Live channel for more updates. All right, let's get right into it.
To really grasp what happened out there, we're going to decode this match in 5 quick steps. We've got tactical struggles in possession, the Ronaldo paradox, defensive lapses in pressing, drama, goals, and sensors, and finally, we'll ask, can they beat Spain?
First up, tactical struggles in possession, specifically the missing midfield links.
Portugal boasts what is arguably one of the strongest midfields in the entire tournament, yet somehow they just completely disconnected from the rest of the squad. This unspoken frustration was literally the story of Ruben Dias's match. Imagine being a center back, stepping forward into all this open space, desperately looking to play the ball between the lines, and nobody is providing supporting angles. It's like a giant puzzle with missing pieces. So what happens? He's repeatedly forced to pass backward to his deep-lying playmaker, Vitinha. It was essentially passing the buck, basically saying, hey, you're the playmaker. Go and make something happen. So why exactly did this happen? Well, look at Croatia's structure. They set up in this incredibly compact 4-4-2 defensive block, which just completely erased those central passing options. It forced Portugal to build almost all of their attacks down the flanks. But man, on the right side, it was an absolute mess. The Portuguese right back kept drifting inside into the half space. Now, instead of adding an extra body in a dangerous area, he just naturally drifted back toward the wing, completely duplicating the right winger's position. They were almost taking the ball right off each other's toes. And the craziest part? Croatia's structure wasn't even bulletproof. There was a massive 14-meter gap, that's huge in football terms, right between their two holding midfielders. That's a passing lane just begging to be exploited, but Portugal just kept failing to find their guys in those central areas.
Moving on to Section 2, the Ronaldo paradox, role reversal in the attack.
This brings us to a really fascinating dynamic between Portugal's two biggest stars. It was a total role reversal. Just look at Cristiano Ronaldo. Surprisingly, for a traditional center forward, he looked incredibly energetic, right? Super intense. He was constantly vacating that central position, dropping deep into space, moving out wide, and actually helping the team progress the ball. Meanwhile, Bruno Fernandes, the prime playmaker who absolutely should be the one orchestrating the offense, was just totally static. He seemed glued to the striker spot. He was just waiting for crosses and honestly, physically struggling to compete in the box.
So the million-dollar question here is this. Ronaldo dropping deep is obviously a huge positive for Portugal's ball progression, but it creates a massive void. Think about it. When Ronaldo leaves the penalty area to help build the attack, who on earth is left to finish the crosses? Well, the answer was Bruno Fernandes, the central midfielders, and the wingers. But let's be real for a second. Those guys simply struggled physically to compete with big, tough Croatian center backs for those crosses. It basically completely neutralized Portugal's aerial threat.
Okay, Section 3, defensive lapses and pressing when the system breaks down.
Now let's flip the field for a minute and look at the defensive side of the ball, because Portugal's intensity here shifted dramatically. They clearly wanted to dominate possession, and to do that, they rolled out a super strict man-to-man press right from the very first minute. And initially, it was executed perfectly. The center backs and fullbacks stepped up incredibly high. Everyone knew exactly who they were marking. We even saw Rafael Leao showing immense discipline, literally tracking all the way back into the left-back position just to intercept a pass. They were shutting Croatia down completely. But as we move later into the first half, that intensity, it absolutely dropped off a cliff.
And this number right here tells you exactly why. 3. It took more than 3 full seconds for Ronaldo, who was the player responsible for triggering the press in this key sequence, to close down the Croatian ball carrier. Instead of an aggressive sprint to apply that immediate pressure, he just kind of jogged over. In a pressing system like this, intensity is absolutely everything. You want to force the opponent to keep their head down and clear the ball out of pure panic. If you give a professional defender 3 whole seconds to lift their head and assess the field, they have all the time in the world to pick a dangerous pass. And that drop in intensity totally infected their concentration, leading directly to Croatia's opening goal. Let's break down the anatomy of this disaster. Step 1. The ball goes out for a throw-in, and a bunch of Portuguese players just completely switch off. I mean, they literally turn their backs to the play to argue with the assistant referee. Step 2. A clever Croatian player sees this, quickly grabs the ball, and restarts the play while Portugal is busy complaining. Step 3, by the time Portugal even reacts, Croatia's already attacking. A cross comes whipping toward the far post, Portugal's right back loses his positional battle, totally misses the ball, and boom, Croatia scores. It's just a cascading series of really simple concentration lapses that punish them instantly.
Let's dive into Section 4, Drama, Goals, and Censors, Decisive Box Moments. So following that opening goal, the match just exploded into this crazy, dramatic sequence inside the penalty area. Portugal responded quickly by winning a penalty, and honestly, it was a clear one. The Croatian defender was tightly marking his man in a prime goal-scoring spot and just physically wrapped up both the attacker's arms and legs, totally preventing him from jumping for the cross. Ronaldo steps up, and he smashes the penalty straight down the middle. Now, I'd actually love to hear from you guys in the comments. Do you think hitting a penalty straight down the middle is a flex of supreme confidence, or is it kind of just playing it safe, trying to make sure it's on target? Let me know. Either way, it went in. Shortly after, Portugal found the winner. Rafael Leao whipped across to the far post, and the defending here, genuinely poor. Josko Gvardiol just stood behind his man, offering virtually zero resistance, losing the positional battle way too easily to let Portugal score.
But hold on, because the real drama came with Croatia's disallowed equalizer. A cross comes in. The Croatian player puts the ball in the back of the net, but the offside flag shoots right up. The pacing of the whole game just froze. Looking at the replays, it was incredibly difficult to tell if the offside Croatian player actually got a touch on the initial cross to redirect it. But here's the cool part you might not know. The balls used at this tournament are equipped with a built-in touch detection sensor. This tech literally detects every single microscopic physical contact on the ball, and this undeniable piece of technology confirmed that, yep, the offside player definitely redirected the ball at that exact fraction of a second.
But here is the absolutely vital distinction when it comes to applying the rules. A deflection does not equal deliberate play. After the offside Croatian player touched it, the ball deflected off a Portuguese defender. Now you might be sitting there thinking, well, if it came off the defender, doesn't that reset the offside? Actually, no. The referees got this dramatic call absolutely spot on. The Portuguese player never controlled the ball, it just accidentally rebounded off him. Because it was an unintentional deflection, the offside was not reset. The touch sensor proved that initial contact, and the goal was 100% rightly disallowed.
Finally, Section 5, Can they beat Spain? Looking ahead to the next round.
Okay, so Portugal survived the Croatian test and advanced. But looking at their tournament metrics based on this specific performance, the picture isn't exactly pretty for their upcoming matchup against Spain. Look at this first metric here. Their predictability is incredibly high. Because they've struggled so much to connect through the middle and completely failed to exploit those spaces between the lines we talked about, they've relied almost entirely on attacking down the flanks. And then you look at the second metric. Their central creativity is shockingly low. I mean, this is especially crazy for a team that has players like Bruno Fernandes and Vitinha pulling the strings.
Being this predictable makes them highly vulnerable against a tactically elite team like Spain. So the ultimate question remains, do they actually have a chance of beating Spain playing like this? I really want to hear your thoughts on their chances and on those controversial VAR calls down in the comments. And once again, please like, subscribe, and share Football Flash Live channel for more tactical updates. Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and we'll catch you next time.